Hello, welcome again to another edition of Give It a Shot. Today, it is a special mystery box edition for the Christmas holidays. Yay! So, I have a selection of 4 useless DVDs in which one of these lucky contestants will be picked. I'm not looking forward to any of this. What do we have? First and foremost, we have Elf on a Shelf presents an elf's story. Oh my god, an internet meme. Fuck it. Then we have The Nuttiest Nutcracker. I haven't the faintest. It just looks awful. Then we've got 2 Max Lucado stories. One is one that we are very familiar with, Hermie and Friends. And this is a fruitcake Christmas. Sure. Because bugs celebrate fucking Christmas. Flies don't live 3 days, but bugs gotta know about fucking Christmas. And then Punchinello and the Most Marvelous Gift. A story about giving. Can't even show enough emotion to give a shit. So, just like we do with every mystery box edition, regardless if it's full of fun or humbug, we gotta do the mix-up. Then I'm gonna stick my hand in here, grab the first thing, and we got Max Lucado. We are going to have a fruit cake Christmas. Shit. Well, let's see what a couple of caterpillars and a snail and some ladybugs know about Christmas. Ugh. Well, what a splendid waste of time. That is probably the best review that I could possibly give this movie, this thing. I had pretty much a 50% chance of getting a Max Lucado film, and I got it with Hermie and Friends of Fruitcake Christmas. It is a story that we've experienced before and is not presented very well. Who knew? We've seen Hermie and Friends before about their Elvis impersonating bee. I don't remember his name. He's in this, but who gives a fuck? Time in the garden, and our bug friends are going to celebrate it, and the big thing is about fruitcake. There's also a bit of a subplot of not having any food available. So the fact that these bugs get excited for fruitcake is understandable at this point, because that's what this whole thing is about, is there's a bit of a food shortage because there are these 2 characters named Iggy and Ziggy, who are cockroaches, who basically work to store up food. However, they end up doing it in a way that basically starves everybody else.
You've taken all the food.
There isn't even a crumb left.
Look at me. I haven't eaten for days. I'm nothing but an exoskeleton.
In a surprising twist, not really. I don't know why I think it's a surprising twist. Maybe because I think my mind was trying to fill up fill the gaps with something interesting, because this cartoon was not interesting and was very boring. They are the richest bugs in the garden for all the work that they do. And apparently nobody likes them because they just take and take and take. But there's a big fruitcake that is an annual tradition that Hermie's grandmother makes every year. And she made another one, and it goes missing. And so everyone believes that it is the work of the cockroaches.
Oh no!
Oh no!
It was the cockroaches, I tell ya!
They took all the other food. They must have taken the fruit cake too.
No shred of evidence, but they tried their best to look in the house to see if it was there, but to no avail. Even though they have no shred of evidence, and they don't really, they even try to claim, innocent until proven guilty, but everyone doesn't give a fuck.
Nobody actually saw them. Bugs are innocent until proven guilty. Now, let's examine the evidence.
They are just going to have to be content with what they have, in which they only get this tiny fruit cake, and they still have their party regardless. There are two small ladybugs, which Haley and Bailey, they were a topic of discussion when the bee was a thing, because he was a bad influence on them. And in this one, they do the right thing without being dopes, like they were in the last one that I watched. And so they give their little piece of fruitcake to the cockroaches, talk about the gift of Christmas, which is Jesus, and that warms up the cockroaches' hearts, which they do not have. I'm pretty sure bugs like that do not have hearts. And they come down with all this stuff to give for the celebration, and the town forgives them. And then it's over. So this whole thing, and I have to say this first, the description of the plot that I just gave you is way more interesting than what was actually shown. This special, this cartoon, this movie, this thing on a plastic disc suffers the greatest crime that anybody can do in animation or in media per se. And that is being boring. This was super boring. Holy God. Well, that was the noise that came out of my mouth. Ugh. So, I just, like I said, described the plot. It's not very compelling. Also, this plot and everything in it is highly derivative. The opening shot might as well just be the opening to How the Grinch Stole Christmas. What this really should have been called, instead of A Fruitcake Christmas, is how we're going to pay tribute to all these Christmas specials without saying it.
It's just over this river and through the woods to Granny Pillar's house we go.
Bah humbugger! You said it, Iggy.
Antonio!
It's just a little drumming, boy.
Because there's a lot of that going on. Now, from a riffer standpoint, this is kind of a fun little nod. It's cute, but it gets old quick. There's a lot of references to other Christmas specials. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the Little Drummer Boy. What else did they do? They did a bunch, but it's all like quick stuff, and it's all it's just there, it doesn't really help the story all that much. It just it's window dressing. There's not really much to this story. This thing was 40 minutes long, and it easily could have been 25. You could have easily cut out 15 minutes of this. You'd have still got the point of the entire thing. But they didn't, because why would they?
Would never come to this place. Hey, where's the talking snowman? Or the reindeer with the red nose that flies? Oh, or how about the angel that has come to earn its wings?
There are certain characters, I'm starting to notice a thing with Max Lucado. He has a thing for early rock and roll. I mean, the B is obviously a reference to Elvis Presley, and he actually has the Beatles. Not the good Beatles, but the shitty Beatles. He literally has Beatles as a band. This whole thing has its moments of, oh god, just get this over with. Like the whole subplot about there not being any food. I'm sorry, but if we're a town of bugs and none of us have any food, I think we'd be a little bit more violent than what's going on here. Because they're showing some bugs in desperate situations where they're eating bark, which I'm pretty sure that's something that they would do, and licking icicles. So it's like, what the fuck? Water's kind of important. Some bugs do eat vegetation. Why do they need to worry about getting nuts and berries and shit like that? So it's kind of weird, but all it does is pad out the runtime, which is what this whole thing is just very guilty of. There is one reference in this that almost made me chuckle. If you know anything from my last review, this series uses voice actors who are celebrities. They have Tim Conway and now my brain just farted. Don Knotts, I can't believe I forgot that. They are the two main characters of the series. Don is there in spirit almost. He rarely gets to talk, especially in this one. He does not talk much. This is more of a vehicle for Conway, I guess. And there is a line where, as part of the plot to find the fruitcake, Hermie decides to have a Christmas play, because that's something that you do at Christmas. And he starts handing out parts for everybody, and the first thing he tries to give Wormy, Don Knotts, is the role of the role of the deputy.
Wormy, I want you to play the deputy.
I always play the deputy.
How about the landlord?
Okay, that's cute. Yes, he was Barney Fife in the Andy Griffith Show. That's adorable. And then he says, I'm always the deputy. Good on you. Then you fucked it up. You went with, oh, then do you want to be the landlord? So now they're making a Three's Company reference. Which, this is a Christian program. They are the plight that I deal with on a number of occasions. And for good and for bad, they exist. And so, Max Lucado, I'm often kind of conflicted about him. I mean, there's a lot of God-heavy elements in this. I mean, in fact, God talks to the bugs.
God gave us the best gift of all. And he came for everyone? Everyone. Right, God?
That's right, Lucy. Hello, Haley and Bailey.
God?
Which is kind of mind-blowing. You know, like, normally God does not speak in anything Christian-related. The closest thing you'll ever get is, like, if Jesus is in the story and he speaks, but you rarely ever get God. The only other one that I can even quite closely remember would even be a semblance of this would be the original Superbook, where the book would talk, and I am still wholly convinced that is God. But God talks to these bugs. I don't know how to take that. But he does. Other voices, like Antonio the Ant, has a very familiar voice.
I want you to play the fruitcake baker.
Do I get to wear the chef's hat?
Of course.
Oh, goody!
I will probably put that person's picture and something that they're rather known for in this because it sounds very damn familiar.
I want you to play the fruitcake baker.
Do I get to wear the chef's hat?
Of course.
Oh, goody!
I will say this about the animation itself. The animation appears to have taken a step back. Typically, I know in computer animation or animation in general, you will have some motion blur. That's common. Not everything to give the illusion of speed and things like that. Yes, there will be motion blur, but this one's a lot heavier than the rest or anything else I've seen with this, because when Hermie's sliding down the mountain, he's sliding down a slope of some sort. These are bugs. This is not like human-sized things. I can see the motion blur. Like, it's not very well hidden, and so it definitely takes away from it. In fact, something else that goes on with this, at the beginning and end of every special that I've seen so far, they have, I believe it is Max Licato speaking to the audience, and it's a live action segment, but Wormy shows up, and Wormy in this moves very herky-jerky. Like, I think something happens. I don't remember if this came before or after.
Especially Granny Pillar's fruitcake. Here, I brought you some.
But I get the feeling that the budget started getting cut because I started noticing some shortcuts and some lower quality things. Like, there were some character riggings that didn't really have much in the way of in-betweens. So it was just kind of strange. And it just didn't look right in a couple aspects. So there's that. But if I'm going to be honest with you, in the realm of Christmas specials that I've been known to watch, this is not terrible. It's forgettable. That to me is still one of the worst punishments that you can ever have. Like, I've rarely ever seen a good Christmas special. And I will still argue that most Christmas specials are just cynical money grabs, and they don't normally perform well. I get the concept. If you want a good vehicle for something that you want to start and get going, Christmas special would be good because that can be played yearly. That gives you a steady revenue. I understand that. That's why Rhapsody Street Kids was a thing, because somebody thought they could make this into an annual cash flow. Didn't pan out for them. So it's not, again, it's not the worst thing. It's just forgettable. It's not like, just to use that example again, the Rhapsody Street Kids, it's so bad that it's memorable because everything about it is just wrong. One day I might review that, but it won't be this year. So it just it just suffers that forgettable fate. For a story, it's okay, but it's it's funny, I'm watching a Christmas cartoon and I was praying that would end quickly, but it didn't. So, God didn't answer that prayer. Overall, it's just one shot because of how forgettable it is. I've sat through Hermie and Friends before. They're not the most overbearing thing that I've ever watched in terms of Christian media. It just so happens. It's what I end up getting often, a lot from these secondhand stores, because you know the animation just looks awful. So again, not the worst thing, just forgettable, just kind of sucks. But in comparison to Vampires last time, it's a goddamn masterpiece. So, yeah, whatever. Happy holidays, or whatever the fuck you celebrate this time of year. Enjoy shit while, hey, if you don't, fuck it. Damn holiday will be over soon enough, and we can get back to our regular boring lives, and January can just be the soulless, heartless time that it is, where we still only see gray and look at our wrists and say, you know what, I might cut these to see color. So, that's Hermie and Friends, A Fruitcake Christmas. May you choke down on some fruitcake this holiday season, and I will see you next time. Bye.